When it comes to a team, certain things are incredibly important to have. A good QB, a good head coach, a good front office that knows what to do. But all those things almost don't matter if you don't have a good fan base.
I think it's the best choice for me and my investment in my family that we just stop investing into a team that doesn't want to invest in us as fans.
The NFL has quickly become one of the most popular professional sports leagues in the modern landscape. And I suppose unsurprisingly, it has some of the most ravenous fan bases out there. But even amongst a plethora of great fan bases, there are a few that stand out from the crowd. And conversely, there are some that, well, leave something to be desired. Here are 5 of the best fan bases that we see week in and week out, and 5 of the worst. Best Cleveland Browns. First up, one of the best fan bases. The fans of the once lowly, seemingly on the rise, Cleveland Browns. There's no denying that the Cleveland Browns, despite their minor sabbatical after the original franchise moved to Baltimore, have some of the most die-hard fans that the NFL has ever seen. It's almost like the realization that their NFL team could be ripped away from them, like it was back in 1996, supercharged this fan base and makes them root every Sunday like it could be their last with their beloved Brownies. That being said, this fan base has truly been one of the most invested groups that we've ever seen, dating back decades. Just ask former Steeler Neil O'Donnell, who got a nice beer shower from the dog pound back in '91 after scoring a touchdown that enraged the Browns faithful. Not that we necessarily would want to encourage this behavior, but for Clevelanders to voluntarily part with their beer, you know they had to be furious. But that's why this generally affable group of people is referred to as the dog pound. They do not mess around. Worst, Los Angeles Chargers. It isn't exactly fair for us to do this to the actual diehard Chargers fans, of which there are, probably like 15 now?
There are dozens of us. Dozens!
But then again, life isn't exactly fair either. And if we're making a list of the worst fan bases, choosing a team that lost a chunk of its core fans after its ownership decided to chase the bag and move the team is a must. Truth be told, I don't know if there are even enough Chargers fans out there for us to consider them an actual NFL fan base. With the gorgeous weather and plethora of other activities for people to do, and football not really being ingrained in the area's culture in the way that it is in the Midwest and even the Northeast, it was hard enough for them to get fans to go to the games in San Diego. Not to mention the fact they moved to Los Angeles around the same time as the Los Angeles Rams, which are a much more attractive team to follow for the celebrities that are trying to make appearances, which I can only hypothesize drives more and more young NFL fans that do actually exist in the greater Los Angeles area towards the Rams. So, yeah, a bit of an awkward entry here. Best Pittsburgh Steelers. If Los Angeles is atop the list of cities where football isn't central to the culture, Pittsburgh, where the bulk of the grizzled, dedicated, and authentic Steelers fans reside, might be the polar opposite. When you think of Pittsburgh, you think of the Steelers, and vice versa. The city and the team are so intertwined at this point, there is almost one heartbeat. And if you walk through the Steel City after a big win, or conversely, a big loss, you can feel the emotion in the air. We've all seen the epic crowd shots during big games over the years. Tens of thousands of Yinzers, red-faced in near inhumane weather conditions, screaming their hearts out, whipping the team's legendary terrible towels about. Yes, this is in part because Steelers fans have had a lot to cheer about over the years, but we can't knock them just because their team is, well, actually good. Based on what we've seen from the Steelers fan base, I have full confidence that even if they had to deal with a downturn in performance, they would still come out in droves to support the team. Worst, Los Angeles Rams. Staying in Los Angeles, I think that Rams fans are actually worse than the Chargers fans. Think about it. At least the Chargers got to keep some of their actual fans from the move. Like, it's at least feasible for folks living down in San Diego to make a weekend out of going to a game at SoFi or something like that. The Rams absolutely abandoned their real fans in St. Louis. opting instead for fake celebrity fans that probably chose the Rams because their agent told them to. And as a result, attendance and interest was down even before the team moved west, because the fans felt so scorned by the team's owner, Stan Kroenke, who is painfully deliberate about his interest in moving the team to a larger television market. Honestly, Kroenke may be the owner who's most reviled by his own fan base in the entire NFL, so it shouldn't be a surprise that the Rams have had one of the lowest attendance rates in the NFL over the past decade. And even if that starts to spike, it's only because the team is actually good now and a bunch of corporations and wannabes are now attending the games, not anyone who lives and dies with the team. Best. Green Bay Packers. The Packers fans are cut from a very similar cloth to Steelers fans. Good, modest, cold-weather people who love drinking beer and watching their team play on Sundays. They also have had the good fortune to watch a pretty damn good football team for almost the entirety of the organization's history. And between legendary figures like Vince Lombardi, who led the Packers to a victory in the first ever Super Bowl, and the almost folk legend-like status of Packer players like Brett Favre, it isn't surprising that green and yellow courses through the veins of Packers fans. Plus, they have the unique distinction of being the NFL's only team that is actually owned by the fans. And yes, I know that it's not exactly like they're actually in the meeting rooms helping executives make player personnel decisions, nor can they actually buy and sell their stakes in the same way that you could a traditional stock. But hey, it's still a cool thing for diehard fans to cling to and rub in the face of rival fans. Worst. Arizona Cardinals. Okay, this one is a bit strange, but the next entry is actually the longest continually running franchise in the NFL, the Arizona Cardinals. Yes, I know the team bounced around a bit. It originated out of the Chicago area, then spent nearly 2 decades in St. Louis before moving out west to Arizona, where the team played its home games. First in Phoenix and now Glendale. And while they've actually had some pretty decent teams over the past few seasons, the State Farm Stadium is still regularly infiltrated by opposing fan bases. And there seems to be a general aloofness to Cardinals fans that is unmistakable. It feels like the Cardinals could win or they could lose, and it really wouldn't make a whole heck of a difference to the fans. They could be watching the game with friends or out on the golf course or really just whatever. It's simply just another activity for them. I don't know if you're noticing a trend here or not, but the term fair weather fans doesn't just apply to individuals that hop on the bandwagon of good teams. Truth is that most fans whose team play in nice climates are simply not up to the same standard as their cold weather counterparts. Best. Buffalo Bills. Ah, what timing. We mentioned cold weather, and bam, next up, the Buffalo Bills fans. The fan base that I bet most people watching this video had circled from the jump as an obvious entry. And hey, with good reason, because when it comes to dedication to their team, the Bills fans are among the very best. Despite consistently having one of the worst teams in the league up until this recent run with Josh Allen under center, the fans always, and I mean always, come out to support the team. And these people aren't just there minutes before game time, slinking into their seats bundled up and jetting out to their car the second the game is over. For Bills Mafia, as their fan base is affably referred to, it is an all-day affair. People pour into the parking lot of Highmark Stadium in Western New York, utterly unfazed by the frigid conditions and imminent disappointment. Do they have to drink themselves into oblivion and send themselves flying into tables to tolerate the aforementioned conditions? Well, yeah, but that doesn't make them any less deserving of props for their dedication to a generally unworthy team. If anything, it might score them some bonus points. I'd like to see you try and get excited for an inevitable 38-10 loss to the New England Patriots in sub-freezing temperatures. While much is made about the pre- and post-game antics of Bills Mafia, it is worth noting as well that their dedication to the team goes well beyond the antics we see circulate the internet and viral clips. Bills fans are truly invested in the team and have been for generations. Anyone who says otherwise, well, they're just full of it. Worst. Miami Dolphins fans. Another group of people with a million better things to do on Sunday than sit inside a dingy bar to watch the game or trek out to the stadium to see it in person. That's the catch-22 of professional football in Miami. Yes, it is awesome to be a player there for all the obvious benefits of living in Miami. The only problem, well, a lot of those perks that you love about living in Miami also apply to the fans. And many of them, even the ones who actually care about the team, find better things to do than watch the games in person. So it's not uncommon to see opposing fans visit South Beach for the weekend before taking over Hard Rock Stadium on Sunday. Good for tourism, but bad for the Dolphins. The sad part about the Miami fan base is that it's actually an organization rich with history and culture. Figures like Don Shula, Dan Marino, and Mercury Morris. I mean, they're still technically home to the league's only undefeated champions, the 1972 Dolphins. Maybe if Stephen Ross could actually put together a halfway competent organization, some of the diehards would start ponying up the money to go to games again. Until then, it'll just be corporate events and visiting fans. Best New Orleans Saints. Now, this might be a contentious statement, but there may be no better fan base than that of the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans has basically captured all of the best things about every other fan base, tossed it in a blender, and mixed it into one insanely awesome crew of people. First off, the history and culture of football runs deep in Louisiana. The people there eat, breathe, and sleep the game, all the way from their high school ranks to college to their New Orleans Saints. And they get some bonus points for persevering through quite a few eras of putrid Saints football. They have the same sort of cartoonishly absurd fans that we used to see in the black hole at Raiders games when they played in Oakland. It also helps that their home games are played in one of the greatest party cities in the country, so the atmosphere at the game is always epic. There are a lot of great fan bases in the NFL, but the Saints fan base take the cake, at least in our opinion. Worst, Dallas Cowboys. Last and, well, totally least, we have the Dallas Cowboys fans. It does pain me a little bit to denigrate a fan base that I know has some true diehards, but it's like the Yankees. When a team garners so much national attention and picks up so many uninformed, generally unpleasant fans along the way, they have to be held accountable. Cowboys fans also have a nasty habit of living in the past and acting like the 90s dynasty isn't well over 2 decades away now. Sorry, Cowboys fans, you are the worst of the worst. But hey, which do you think is the best NFL fan base? And which one do you think is the worst? Did we miss anyone? Join us in the comments section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.